And Krista, as we're getting folks in, we're coming to talk about communication and AI. And we were just talking earlier about the various ways that that can be used. What's one of the things that you are already doing with ChatGPT in AI?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I love Chat GPT to help me with writing, crafting, even social media messaging. A lot of times, it'll catch typos or grammatical errors or help me restructure a sentence to sound better. So I like to use it as an editor, but also to get ideas flowing. Like it's great to I talk to my Chat GPT. Notice I call it my Chat GPT, like it's my friend in my office or something. Like, hey, can you just look this over, give me a few suggestions, what do you think, how do you think this is going to go over if I use it this way, but I rely on it for a lot of just like the brainstorming even. And now I've been using, since Micah introduced us to Julius, I've been using Julius a lot more as well, and really like that also. And then I saw recently on Micah's LinkedIn page about Cove AI and kind of started playing with that, which is really a really neat tool. And I think for communications especially. Anyway, so I'm excited
Yeah.
for more.
Yeah, for sure. And in case you have not been following these webinars, Micah Gaudet is the Deputy City Manager for Maricopa, Arizona, and he is has taught himself and really immersed himself into this generative AI world. And we have him every month do a webinar on some aspect of that. We're going to do that again in 2025. So if you've enjoyed these, you're going to continue to do so. And Micah, it's great to welcome you. You're going to be talking about communications today. And I just wanted to say how much we appreciate you and the work you put into this. And let me throw it to you and you take it away.
All right. Thank you, Mike. And thanks to the team at SGR for doing this again. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. One of these things that you do was as you take on a project like this is you learn as you go too. And so I'm a big believer that the best way to learn is by doing. And so hopefully open your eyes up to some AI tools and generative AI solutions that you can use within your day-to-day world within communications. And communication is such an important part of our local government. It's the story we tell and things like that. We want to be accurate, we want to be relevant, and we want to have engaged citizens. I think it's super, super important to have that. And the one thing I think that's really unique to communications, maybe so than other departments, is it comes kind of embedded with creativity. And so there's a lot of creative thought that's already exists within communications professionals. And that's one of the most important skills you can have when using ChatGPT. It's why a lot of times when I've taken AI classes or different trainings or look at different solutions outside the public sector, the one thing they always talk about is AI training. That's why a lot of them start with like image generation or things like that. Not that it might be useful to their work per se, but it gets that creative juices going. That's a really important skill set. So you'll already have a leg up on folks like me who have the creativity of I'm not creative at all. So you guys already have the leg up on me on that side of things. So excited to show you this, what this looks like, and how to leverage some generative AI tools. So I'll go ahead here. I'm going to share my screen. We'll go through a couple of slides just to kind of give you an overview of AI, generative AI specifically for communications. Let's do this here. All right, hopefully now. Yep, perfect. So using generative AI for communication marketing professionals, how do we do that? Or first off, why do we do that, right? What's the purpose of this? And there's a couple things I think are kind of the key takeaways for why we want to use AI in communication. As another one too that I learned in actually a conversation I've had with or a seminar we were at with SGR last weekend. I'll tell you that at the end here. But the three things are efficiency, right? We want to automate tasks and free up valuable time. And why that's desirable, I think, is in terms of community engagement, right? The more that we can be efficient in what we're doing, the more we can have those high touch moments with our community and really understanding, okay, what is something that we want high touch with? We want that human touch with. What's important for that versus things that we can kind of passed off to AI. And that's going to be different for every city, right? Some cities look at things like chatbots, and that's a really great solution for them in terms of their customer service and their front desk kind of things. That's important for them. Other cities look at that and say, you know what, that's an area that we want high touch at. We want a lot of, we want human connection in those at those moments. And so understanding, okay, where do I want those high touch moments at? And then leveraging AI to be able to provide more time. That way you can have that. So other one too is just personalization, right? A lot of what we have within communication are these templates. We have templates for communication, template posts, or template things like that. And as our communities become more and more diverse, as they become more and more connected together, things like that, we're seeing a need for personalization. And you can think of this everywhere from, okay, the messaging you put out to 18 to 25-year-olds in your community might need to look a little different than the messaging you put out to 50 to 65-year-olds in their community. A good example of this is one of my previous town I worked at. We had a local chamber of commerce, and our community was a mining community, and we had a significant older population of the community, not a lot of young people. And despite that, our chamber of commerce kept wanting me to push TikTok videos and do TikTok videos for the chamber. Probably wasn't the best communication channel given the demographics of that community. Would have worked well in other communities, but for our community, we were predominantly on Facebook, right? That was the predominant form of communication. So personalization also matters that way in terms of where you're reaching people at. And also language too. There's some really, really phenomenal tools when it comes to AI translation services and translating things into different languages that actually sound really, really good and highly accurate and relevant. And so there's some really cool tools we can do with personalization and having the message out to all of our residents and breaking down those barriers to being informed as a resident. And lastly, too, is just the data-driven insights we can get, right? By leveraging AI, we can look at, okay, what's the sentiment of how this is being received, right? You put a post out on a social media platform or something like that, and be able to analyze, okay, are people happy with this? Are they unhappy with it? Are they engaged with it? Where are they at? Or are they talking about how much the Dallas Cowboys are tanking? Which, as a Packers fan, I'm a huge supporter of the direction of the Dallas Cowboys right now. So it's just different data insights you can get within that. But really all this goes back to, within communication, I want to stress this a lot, is it goes back to leveraging AI, leveraging these different solutions. That way we can maximize those areas of high touch for our community and maximize those areas where we're having community involvement, community engagement. Because at the end of the day, really what we want to understand is that our community is built not on the tech we use, but on the relationships that we build. And so this is why we want to leverage and empower people and empower relationships with people, not just technology. So a couple tools for communication. Kristen mentioned a couple of these already as well, but I'll just mention them here. Obviously, ChatGPT is a phenomenal tool for communication. We can do things like we can translate stuff into different languages. We can create surveys. We can do a first review draft of things. We could also do, there's a tool called Canvas. I'll show a little bit about this AI tool called Canvas within ChatGPT, where you can edit documents right there on the spot and do a lot of cool work with that. We also have things like AI presentation makers, where we can create presentations from scratch using AI. In fact, the majority of probably our time here today is going to be spent looking at these different AI presentation makers. Part of the reason for that is ChatGPT is kind of pretty well known by now. And a lot of folks, especially the folks I talk to who are in these communication fields, are already very familiar with ChatGPT. And so I want to take some time and kind of broaden your horizon and see what else is out there and what other tools are available for you. Obviously, Canva and Dolly, right? Creating visuals for campaigns. And this is where the conversation that we had last week, we were delighted as the Transforming Local Government Planning Committee to have Ron and Mike out in Scottsdale. And they brought in Hassan via the internet for a quick little presentation on the future of AI, the future of local government and things like that. one of the things he mentioned, which is super, super interesting to me, is Austin talked about using AI generated images to tell stories. And traditionally, if you think about this, the example he gave was extending, having a bike lane for a local community. And I'm simplifying it here for time. Austin did a way better job explaining this than I will ever do. But talk about having a bike lane, right? And the traditional way of doing this and proposing a bike lane, you talk about different things like, hey, a bike lane, less travel, maybe some benefits in terms of less emissions on the road, more bikeable cities, or things like that traditionally be told via text in the presentation. But what they noticed is that when they had an image, even an AI generated image, and they said it was an AI generated image, it got more positive feedback for that initiative of having a bike lane because people saw it, people visualized it. And really, we do this all the time, right? We do this with renderings of buildings or concepts that we're thinking of, whether it be a new park that we're going to design for our community, or a new building or new office space. We do this through renderings, and the ability for AI to tell that picture is really powerful, and it actually has some really good feedback when we're honest that we're using AI. So I put out there as something that I had not thought of when thinking through the use of generative AI images and just how much of a benefit that really could be. And also is a great reason why I enjoy going to TLG conferences, is get these insights like this every single time, and you walk away with, oh wow, never thought of it that way before. So shameless plug as a person on the planning committee for that TLG conference in April. Shameless plug. Hope to see you all there. I will be there as well too. So this is just a phenomenal conference, and I'll leave it at that for now. So what are some best practices for integrating AI in communication? What are some ways to do that? 3 simple steps that I think kind of boil this down here is to start small, right? Start with something that is small and something that that you can do right away, right? It's something that's going to have an impact right away. It doesn't have to be a great impact, even if it's just something as small as having ChatGPT create a survey for you. Start small with something like that, and then gradually expand your AI usage over time. Other thing too is to set guidelines. You want to maintain consistency and messaging clarity. This is especially true within communications, as the story we tell and the narrative we're sharing within our communities is extremely important. So maintaining that consistency and messaging clarity is really important. And finally, we also want to look at monitoring, right? Monitor the results, ensure quality and control, have a human review. If you ask ChatGPT to write a post for you, don't just take that and post it, right? Take the time to review it, to analyze it, to make sure it's really fitting within your city brand and what the message you're trying to communicate there. We want to make sure we're consistent. It goes back to the messaging clarity, but we want to make sure we're consistent and make sure we have that human in the loop for those things. So with that being said, I'm going to stop my screen share here, and let's go over to the fun stuff. Let's go over to ChatGPT, and we'll show you a couple things we can do here in ChatGPT. I'll share my screen again. Okay, here we go. All right, this is ChatGPT. I'm going to be using the paid version for this one because there's some features in the paid version I think they're very unique. Like I always say, I don't get any type of revenue or kickback for showing the pro version. I don't have anything like that. So this is just my personal preference on this and what I think is helpful. So for here, we're going to say, I am a community engagement director for the city of Irving, Texas, and I want to create a survey on new park amenities. Hit enter here. It'll think it through, and here's a suggested outline for the survey. And here's what we're going to do with this here in a second here. After it's done doing that, so we're going to go pretty quickly through this. I'm not going to edit it too much. Obviously, you want to look over it, make sure it's relevant to what you're doing there. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to go all the way down, and there's this little button right here that says copy. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go over to chat, this icon right here. I'm going to go over to Canvas. All right. And I'm going to do a new chat here with Canvas. I'm going to paste that in. So Control V, paste this in, go to the top here and say, let's edit this. And sometimes it gets kind of funky. So I'll try this again. Let's say, let's use Canvas to edit this. Here we go. So what you'll see here is it actually brings up a kind of a very similar to like the Microsoft Copilot kind of feel to it. Familiar with that at all? And we have these different things that now we can edit this. So here we can highlight this area right here and say, ask ChatGPT, and let's say, let's expand this and say that we want to help families be more connected at city parks. I think I hit something wrong here. Let me try this again. Let's do this one more time. Let's say that we want families to be more connected at city parks. There we go. And here we can see right there, we have that changed right there. So here we could also do something similar to this too. And here, instead of ranked preferred amenities, we can say, ask ChatGPT, and let's say I apologize, my thumb keeps hitting my mouse pad there to set it off. And let's say, let's go with preferred multiple choice, but not ranked. I'll just say not ranked, multiple choice. So there we go. That's changed right there. Other thing we can do too is we can do the same thing here and say, let's translate this into Spanish. And so here we have it. The whole thing is translated into Spanish. The one thing I want to note too, again, when doing translation, it should be mentioned that we want to make sure we have someone who is a proficient speaker in this language to review it. And so while I can click translate into Spanish, I'm not an expert in the Spanish language by any stretch of the imagination. So I'd want to take it to someone who actually knows how to speak Spanish, understands it, just to make sure that this is really communicating what we're trying to communicate. And I can tell you this too, from talking to different individuals across local government who have used ChatGPT's language translation services, it is really, really good. It's highly accurate. And most of the time from the feedback I get from people who've used these type of things, they actually say it's very, very minimal word changes, maybe a couple things here and there just for cultural clarity or things like that. They might have to change, but for the most part, it's actually very, very relevant. So here we have it. We can also do this. We can say, okay, now let's put this into a survey format. And here we have it right there. The survey format is there. Let's put this back into English and create a title for the survey. It's going to edit that real quick, put it into English, and here we have it right there. Community survey. We can also download this as a Word document, do different things like that. But you can see just how quickly we're able to go from one language to the other language. It's not just Spanish too, just to show you that there's other tools too. It's not just the I forget what the word is, where you have similar looking letters and whatnot. We can also do the same thing too. It could say, put this into Korean, just to show you that there's differences in terms of the languages. And I apologize, I forget what it's called when you have different characters that you use for different languages. You know, they're different, right? There's different languages of different characters they use, and you can see do the same thing right here with Korean as well. So kind of a fun thing to do with creating surveys, and you can just come up with an idea. You can even say, okay, I want to do something, a survey, something along the lines of this. I don't know where to begin. I don't know how to do it. How do I work with this? What does that look like? It actually can help you walk through what that survey might look like and go from an idea to a solution. I think it's something that's really fun to do is kind of use the overarching idea of like challenge RFPs or defining your problem instead of preloading a solution. So putting into ChatGPT what your problem is, and then having ChatGPT identify possible solutions instead of trying to preload a solution into ChatGPT, which may or may not be relevant for you. So another thing too we can do is in AI presentation tools. I want to show you a couple here because I think when it comes to communications, this is a really, really cool way to save some time, to do some interesting things in communications. When you think about all the time you spend, with different community groups or different presentations of different things, putting these things together, this is a really, really powerful tool here. So this one is called presentations.ai. I'll show you a couple of them here. And let's say a presentation on the city of McKinney, Texas Parks Department for senior citizens. I'm going to copy this real quick here too. I'm going to show you the same thing in the other ones too, if I can. But I guess not. But so it's going to give us your different topics here. Give us a different slides. We can change we can add the website URL for brand options. So if I go here to McKinney, Texas, I can actually grab this guy right here. I can grab this link, copy it, go back over here, and then add that as my brand. Great presentation. That's kind of presentation for me here. And I'll just start editing so I can share this way instead of the whole thing. So here's an overview. You can see it brought in the McKinney, Texas logo right there. It talks about these different areas. And again, you'd want to review it and see what that looks like. But just think about the amount of time you would save by doing a presentation this way. And some of it's going to be relevant, might not be relevant. But again, we're looking for that 70% solution on things. That way we can spend our time in those other high touch areas. So I have some pictures here. You notice here too, it's bringing in pictures that are relevant to the topic at hand. So here's a picture of a bench, probably on a trail of some sort. So that's good. Other one right here is we have a picture of someone, two people talking to each other. A picture of a senior citizen there on the right side. It looks to be the background of maybe a park there. I think I see like a merry-go-round in the background there, kind of blurred out. Might be difficult to see on your screen, but it's kind of a blurred merry-go-round, which I'm not even sure those are even still things. I haven't seen a merry-go-round at a park in a long time. Probably too many claims for those things. And again, you see the relevant image from a senior citizen there, so it's relevant to the topic at hand. We also have volunteer and leadership opportunities there. Talks about, so overall, just a really easy way to create a quick presentation. I would probably spend the next maybe hour or so, or 20 minutes to an hour, editing this and making it relevant to the topic at hand, making sure. And obviously, if I had something that if I was going to give a presentation on the Parks Department to a senior citizen group, I would have some more understandable looking for exactly. And so I could do the prompt would be a lot better than just the generic prompt of create a presentation on the create a presentation on Parks and Recs for senior citizens. So that's presentations.ai. Other one too I'll show you is one called beautiful.ai. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create one with AI again. And for this one, we're going to say is a presentation on a community survey for park amenities in the city of Irving, Texas, encouraging residents to make their voice heard and fill out the survey. So let's generate the presentation. Here's the slides for it. We'll create this here. And here is our survey for this. And again, we'd want to make sure the images are relevant. I think presentations.ai does a good job of bringing in relevant pictures. Some don't bring in relevant pictures. So just something to note when you're reviewing this. So here's slide 1. We can go then to slide 2. Here's a community survey. Survey timeline, survey, just a generic timeline there. This could be different, but it's cool they included that. So you can just edit this and say, okay, actually it's going to be a 2-month process instead of a 22-day process or whatever. And then you can also do key focus areas, playgrounds, sports facilities, trails, community events, community access. You could talk about where the community survey might be held at, and then spread the word, the ways to help people fill out the survey and where they can find access to that. And then incentives, maybe you do incentive of those who complete the survey, win a gift card, or maybe they win a free pass or something at your local gym or your event center or something like that. So then follow up the next steps. Again, really quick, easy way to take the survey I did in the beginning with ChatGPT and put into a presentation. That way you could say, okay, hey, we had the survey, but let's get the word out. Let's see what we can do there. Other one too that we can do is on Visme. And so we can do here is we're going to create with AI here. And what's going to load up. And let's say I want to create an Instagram post for a community survey for parks amenities in Irving, Texas. I spelled Irving wrong, but there we go. And the great thing too about these different AI tools is I misspelled amenities and it won't matter. They actually can infer what I'm looking for. So here we have it. We can do different styles. We'll go with this one for now. We'll use this style. It takes a little bit of time for this one to generate, but I think it's worth it in the long run. Visma, you can do other things. You can create presentations. You can create different things like that. And let's go with edit this design for now. And here we have a little bit of here's a LinkedIn post, right? We could do different things here. We could add in, maybe we want to link to the city code or to the, not the code, but the survey. We could do different ways. And so one of the things we could do here is we can leverage ChatGPT for this. So for instance, I'm just going to take this link, for example. If you had a survey link, that'd be same thing. Go to ChatGPT, and I'm going to say, create a QR code for this link. Let's try this again. Let's try that again. Again, sometimes it gets kind of funky. Hopefully now it'll generate the QR code image for us. All right, I'm going to click this right here. It's downloaded there. Go back to my slides here over at the community survey, and let's grab this graphic. Let's see here, or media. Let's add files here, upload from my PC, and let's go my downloads file. QR code. I'm going to put it right here just for now. Obviously, it's in a terrible location, right? You don't want it there. But I just show you that this is the QR code. And I'll try this here. I don't know if this will show on your screen or not, but I'm going to highlight I scan the QR code with my phone. I don't know if you can see that, but if you can see that, that is the City of McKinney's Texas QR website. So the QR code does work. And so this is a really fun and easy way to bring in QR codes or bring in relevant links to things like that. You actually do it straight through ChatGPT. Literally any URL you have, you can create a QR code for it, put it on your Instagram post or whatever you want to put it on, and you can do that relatively easy. It's actually really, really simple. It took a little longer today just because ChatGPT decided not to give me it right away, but you can see easy to work through. So one of the things I want to show you too, and this is, I think, somewhat relevant for communication officials and what you're doing, is think about the amount of time that you spend in front of a camera and in front of making posts or things like that. This is a sample one I have right here. This is a tool called Vidio. And there's a really, really cool feature here that I want to show you as we wrap things up and go to Q&A and things like that. And this video is just a clip from a webinar I'd done recently. And what you can do here is we can click on it here, go to the edit video, the media there, and we can actually click on eye contact, and it'll change the eye contact, the eyes of the individual in the video, to make it look like they're always looking at the camera. So if you're doing, say you have a script you're reading for a video of some sort, a lot of times what do you do, and you probably noticed me doing this today, as I go back and forth between the screen and the camera here, you're looking down and up, looking down and up, right? And so when you're making those videos like that, it's kind of difficult. And so what it also is difficult too is to be natural and having the ability just to look straight at the camera without looking at your notes or things like that. You have to really know your notes and know your material very well, which I'm sure those of you in the communication fields probably do 10 times better job than I do. I'm not as versed in that. And so that's why I like tools like eye contact. And you'll see, I'll just scroll through it. You'll see that the eye contact is always looking at the camera. There's no point of time where this individual looks down, except right there, her eyes are closed. But other than that, it's always looking at the camera. So it's a really, really easy and cool feature with Vidio that they have that I think is super helpful if you are in the communication space and doing videos or doing different things like that, or creating content like that. Even if it's a short video, obviously this 50-second video is going to take a lot shorter to process than, say, an hour-long video. Doesn't work that well when you have multiple people on the camera either, just for disclaimer. So if you have multiple people on the camera, it only works really well when you have a single person. The multiple camera view or multiple people on the camera in the picture, a little limited there. But kind of a cool feature just to, again, make it get that engagement, right? Those areas of high touch. And that way, when you're producing videos, you're producing content that is engaging and things that really tell the story the right way. And really that's the end goal of using these different generative AI tools in communications, is creating stories and creating trust within our cities. And so the one thing I would say is, as we kind of open things up for Q&A or things like that, is let's make sure that we're being transparent with using AI tools. The people I've talked to, the cities I've talked to, when they're transparent with using AI tools, they actually get more buy-in from their city for doing so. They don't actually get a whole lot of pushback. And so I think people kind of expect us to use AI in a way because it's so prevalent in our day-to-day conversation and people are talking about it. And so just by being transparent what we're doing, that's kind of a cool thing. Real quick here, just before we close up, we talked about AI images. I thought I'd show you how to do an AI image real quick here. And so we can say, create an image of a city park with a merry-go-round, slide, and basketball court. It'll create this image for us here. And here we have it. Again, we'll need some editing. You can do different things like this too. And so we could edit this. We can click on here and we could say, hey, this guy all right here, let's change this to a suburban landscape. And again, it'll generate the picture for us here. And it should update that background from more of an urban landscape with the high rise in the background to something maybe more suburban instead. One of these days it'll update. There we go. There we go. And so now we have a more suburban. You can see the pictures of the homes there, maybe some townhomes back there instead of a traditional high rises. So we do the same thing too with anything. We could change this guy here, say, hey, look, make this look less circus-like and make it look more realistic. We do the same thing with any kind of thing within this image as well too. So with that being said, I'm going to stop my share and turn things back over to Mike and Krista. If there are any questions in the chat or things like that, any questions you both have.
Yeah, well, man, that was fascinating, Micah. I'm honestly gonna have to watch that one again, just because there was so much information that I find relevant to me that I just loved. So thank you so much. We had a couple of questions, and I'll take one, and then Krista, you can grab another one. But one of them is, can an image be created using a specific area of land? So can we post on there a piece of land and then that tell what we want to be created from that?
You can do something like that. Yeah, in the past I've done this where I've taken a Google image screenshot, right? Your Google Maps, a screenshot of your Google Maps. And what I did for that was took that image, kind of just screenshot it from Google Maps, a terrain map, and then put that into ChatGPT and said, okay, I want to plan a festival from this, or I want to plan some kind of event. Identify where the parking should be, identify where the ingress egress route should be, identify where I should put the porta johns or the vendors or things like that. And it actually did that. It actually did that really well. I did that after we had planned a major event here in our city in Maricopa. And the results that ChatGPT put out was almost identical to the recommendations from our planning committee, so to speak, for that event. It was almost exactly the same.
Wow, that is phenomenal. And I'm thinking about so many cities we work with who are responsible for some kind of big event, how that might help them, for sure. Thank you. All right, Chris, I know you have another question.
Yes, that was awesome. And as someone who has done lots of big events, like, wow, that's really incredible. Okay, here's another question. If you create a presentation using AI, do you perform the presentation with that same tool, or do you export and save as a PowerPoint? So in other words, what do you use to actually do the presentation?
So it depends. Some of this depends on things like internet connectivity at where you're presenting at. And so if I need to present an area there's no internet connectivity, then yes, I'd export as a PowerPoint and then present it that way. A lot of times it just depends on what you're comfortable presenting from. So that's the most important thing, is what tool for presenting to you are you comfortable from?
Okay, thanks, Micah. One more question. Do you have a particular AI platform that you would recommend for creating tourism marketing material?
For tourism marketing material, I think the site I showed before, I think that was that Visme, I think that we showed before, the ability to create different, Instagram reels or different things like that. That could be super, super helpful in terms of just coming up with ideas for tourism and marketing materials. If you're in the idea stage, I think ChatGPT is a really, really great tool for that. And also Cove, as Krista mentioned too, of utilizing something like Cove could be really helpful, because that way you can see the kind of the cross section of the different ways in which we can do tourism and marketing for a community. It's not all the same thing, right? You're doing different types of things, so that could be helpful as well.
Okay. Well, Micah, thank you so much. And there's a comment from somebody saying, they've attended some conference sessions on this topic, and this is better than anything. And I would just say thank you so much. Fantastic. I didn't realize it was going to be a rally for the Green Bay Packers.
Yes.
That a couple others joined in, but that's okay. We're glad for that opportunity also. And thank you for the plug for TLG. That registration opens up next week for anyone that's interested. And I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, would like to be able to see this video again, and you will get a link to it sometime either late this week or next week, so that you can do that. So Micah, thank you again so much. Thank you everyone that's been a part of making this possible. And thank you to you who have taken the time to learn more about how to use AI in your job as a local government employee. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.